Happy Valentine's Day and welcome to another episode of the You Good Homie podcast. Today we were talking about online dating and all that fun stuff. Today we had a lot of fun, or in this episode, sorry, we had a lot of fun. Just talking about like the nuances of like getting involved in like this new era of like online dating. I really like the perspective we kind of shared today, and I hope that for those of you who are listening on YouTube or on Spotify are able to maybe resonate with some of the things we said. But yeah, we really hope you enjoy this episode. Lots of fun and happy Valentine's Day for those of you who are in a relationship, and for those of you who are single, happy Single Wednesday Day. Just know that you are loved, and we hope that you have a fantastic day. Much love, peace.
デトロイトシマッシュ
Hey, welcome back.
Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the You Good Homie
Take
podcast.
two.
Take two. Yeah, we're like a week out of Valentine's Day. We're gonna be releasing this on Valentine's Day.
Oh, it is a week.
Yeah.
A week from Tuesday.
It's the 7th today?
It is the 5th today.
Okay, well, close enough.
Happy
It's
Valentine's.
the Happy Valentine's Day, guys. It's the Get Busy Day.
Make sure you use protection and
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have the Quran and the Bible next to you
Yeah.
when you...
Or you'll have late October, early November babies like me and Vince.
Let's go.
wait, not
Like kids, but
Wait,
like
chill.
born like us.
we are late October,
Yeah.
You guys.
early November.
All right.
So what are we talking about, Ronald?
Today we're going to be talking about online dating and dating in our 20s. So as you know, I am very single.
We're gonna put it out there. This is a call for all the ladies who want a
Exactly.
taller Filipino man.
I've been single for like almost 2 years now, so I've kind of gone through the dating app process and the sliding into Insta DMs process. I'm so jealous of Jason and Vince because they're in long, loving, committed relationships, and I'm just out here. No, I'm just playing. I love them both. But again, dating in your 20s is very, very hard, and online dating in particular is very, very hard. And I have a ton of stories to share with you guys, but also like we want the other guys' opinions because they're in loving, super, super loving relationships, and Valentine's Day is the Get Busy Day, so obviously you can get busy.
Let's go.
Let's start with the first question I'm gonna ask these guys. So for both of you, have you guys ever tried dating apps before? What was your experience with them? And if you haven't, would you try them if the opportunity presented itself?
You want to answer this first?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what was it? Last year, 2021?
Yeah, let's like
During that like summer, I was in that time period I was single. So I was a bit hesitant at first. I was like, I'll like try to meet someone the old-fashioned way.
naturally,
Yeah, naturally. But then I was like, you know what?
You go to the jungle and find the female. like fucking like,
That's like,
Like, spew out pheromones.
the fucking cave. It smelled them like a fucking caveman.
Yeah, I was a bit hesitant at first to try because I was like, oh, it's kind of like not my thing, But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's try it. Gotta try everything like at least once, right? And then like, I know a couple of my friends were kind of encouraging me to try it. So I was like, let's just see what's out there. I think I only tried Hinge. I don't remember.
yeah.
And I was on there. It's like, yeah, it was like exciting at first, and like when you're scrolling, it low key is kind of addicting just to like.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, because
I agree with you 100%.
yeah, because you it's kind of like you're shop. I hate using that term, and we can talk about it later as well.
Yeah.
It's
of
like
course,
you're shopping,
100%.
right? Like once you see something that you
Yeah.
like, then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is like if you're shopping, oh, this is a really good fucking sale. I like,
Oh, this keyboard. Oh shit.
I have a
Yeah,
question-
right?
I have a question related to that, but yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So it's like, no, it was low-key addicting at first, and then like when you see someone when you're scrolling for like hours on end that you think you might match up well with, it's like you get that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, you're like, let's go.
And I'm like, oh, let's go. This is
This is it.
This is it. And then yeah, like, and then at the same time you can get those highs, and then you can get those lows.
No,
as well.
you get the depths. You get the depths of hell.
Or you get ghosted, you get rejected, you get sent in the DM. you get clowned in the DM. So
yeah, bro, get clowned in the friend group chat.
yeah. So, and for me, like I knew the type of person that I was looking for. Sorry, Lawrence is just screaming.
Yeah. Lawrence, shut up.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah, I knew the type of person that I was looking for. So it was kind of not fun because like you'd be scrolling for so long and like, oh, I don't like this girl. I don't like this type of person. It's like, oh, our hobbies and stuff don't match up.
Yeah, you get nitpicky.
And you get nitpicky, and I would definitely say that if you are that type of person, maybe dating apps is not for you. It can feel very not fulfilling because it's like, is this all that's out there? But you're only limiting yourself to the people who are using dating apps, right?
Yeah.
So tried that for like a couple months, and then I was like, fuck, this is not for me. So I stopped, and then I never.
You gave it a
back.
chance, a fair chance.
Yeah,
you gave it a fair chance.
Yeah, you gotta try things out.
For sure.
But yeah.
No, I mean I've had this conversation with Karen all the time, or a few times actually, because I mean it's kind of beneficial that we both like study like the economics of like modern software, like OnlyFans, wherever the fuck. And I've commented on the fact that like sometimes you view people as products and commodities. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that later. But one of the things that I think I talked about with Karen was like, if we were to break up, it's like I probably would be single for a while because like I honestly am very like, obviously I'm not experiencing firsthand like Vince or Ronald, but like watching vicariously or learning vicariously through like their experiences, like, and even like from other homies as well. I was like, dude, dating nowadays seems a lot harder than it was in the past.
It's so
I've heard different views of online dating. Like I've had a coworker that I think I mentioned before, where she was using for booty calls, and then she met the love of her life and got married. Yeah. And so she was like, and some people were like, oh yeah, dating app is just a way.
Story.
Just a way to meet someone, right? And for some, like, no, it's it's the devil. Like, I don't know, like I got to meet people the natural way and use Christian Mingle or some shit, honestly, I don't think I would use it. I think the reason why I think online dating kind of popped off, one is because of COVID. Like, I think
very big.
People were still using it, but I think because a lot of people, including myself, kind of lost their social battery. It was a lot harder to actually meet people, and like the way we say like naturally per se, like honestly, like what does it mean
in the wild?
Yeah, in the wild, in the forest and stuff. But yeah, like because when I met Karen, it was through dance, right? Like I guess it was, and like now like we're not really dancing as much, but we still like have a relationship. But like when I imagine myself meeting someone, it's just not something I kind of actively look for. Because even like prior to dating Karen, I wasn't really with the intention of trying to find someone. And I can imagine it would probably be the same, where it's like I kind of just go throughout my life, and then when I kind of run into someone,
eventually
I would shoot game. Yeah. Like I think this is like kind of to talk about like more like straight couples, right? Usually with like the man and woman, like usually the man kind of is the one that takes initiative. Yeah,
that approaches.
Like, and not always. Like I know there's some people who are trying to break that norm, whatever. But one of the things they kind of accepted was like, if I'm going to have a relationship, it's expected that I would be the one to shoot the shot. Like as much as I want to be like, oh no, like let the girl do it, right?
Equality.
I know realistically that a lot of times when I do meet women, like when I was like trying to date per se, like they wouldn't take initiative, and I was like, you know what, like I get it, like it's not really expected of you. I can imagine it's kind of hard because there's that shame culture, and also like your friends probably like know like the man needs to do the work, and then like you probably don't want other men judging you. Like I can only imagine that's probably a little difficult. So like I usually like, okay, it's fine, like I'll just take the first move per se, right? But the biggest problem I find with like the dating apps is that like like you said, like if you shoot your game per se, screenshots, group chats.
Oh, 100%,
it's not just a simple
dude.
no, because like
dude.
Sometimes I understand like kind of seeing some of my homegirls when like during high school when they try to reject a dude. Yeah. Like a lot of times they would have a hard time saying no because they don't want to be mean, right? But like because you're face to face, like rejection is a lot more kinder. Yeah. Like obviously I'm not expecting everyone to be very lovely and kind of like some right? Like obviously some people are a little more blunt than others, and that's fine. Like whatever. Sometimes some people take messages differently, and receive and give rejection differently. But like, I can handle being told no. Like, hey, I'm not interested, right? 100%. And I'll hold that out, and I'm like, okay. I remember that was something that happened when me and Karen started dating, where she said, I don't feel like I know you that well enough, and I just took it as a no. Yeah, and then she kind of got upset because she was like, what happened? And I was like, yeah, like I just didn't want to, the meme where it's like flirting versus harassment.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I didn't like, I'm so used to when I have like friends who are women, like talk about like dating a guy that they don't say no out of fear. Mm-hmm. So I was just kind of took it as a no because I didn't want you to be creeped out. Like, I didn't want to be that guy that was kind of like harassing you per se.
Harassing you to go on a date and stuff.
Yeah, but it took one of her friends to talk to me, like, nah, she's into you. You just gotta like,
shoot your shot, homie.
Yeah, you just like you missed the first shot. Just take a second shot. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, you got 2 free throws, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
You got another one, dude. 2 shots.
Yeah, exactly. So I missed the first shot, right? But the second shot, like it was pretty successful. We've been dating like since then. I think that was like 20. I think it was 2016. Yeah. So it's been quite a while. But the thing is, like when the first time Karen like said no, like obviously I was sad about it. It's not like I don't have any emotions, but like it seemed like that's very digestible of being like, hey, I'm just not interested, right? I was like, okay, yeah. That's fine. Like
cool, yeah.
Like, you know what? Like to each their own. Like I don't like if you don't find me per se interested, like I can accept L. And that's the thing I talk with my male peers is that like, yo, like if you get rejected, you just have to hold that.
Yeah, just hold it,
bro. You just have to hold it, right?
Yeah,
and that's fine. Yeah. But this fucking online dating, dude, like some of these people are ruthless. Like seeing
no, it's tough, bro.
Yeah, seeing some of the screenshots from like you or homies of like just the way they respond, I'm like, yo, like it's almost like that, like for example, like if you're playing like a video game online and you're on voice chat, someone can talk mad shit, probably call you a bunch of slurs because you're not in front of them.
Because you're not in front of them.
But if they're in front of you, they're a lot more polite and you're able to handle rejection a lot better because you're not an ass about it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But I just sometimes I feel like online dating because there's that like, oh, I'm not being disrespectful in front of your face, so I'm allowed to like kind of push the boundary. Yeah,
push the boundary,
I find that some people go like way too hard.
Oof.
So I think that's the reason I would probably not do online dating because like, not that I can't handle rejection, I can handle rejection. It's like, yo, some people definitely view like, oh, like you're not my type, and like, okay, that's fine. But then they would tell you like why you are ugly or why you are not a good person.
They'll like point out all your red flags.
And I was like, hey, like we talk about red flags all the time. Like, I talk about my homies all the time, but like, yo, like just calm the fuck down. I don't know you that well. Like,
yeah. They like send you like a paragraph and shit, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But
is that group chat rejection thing a way to like counter dudes or girls who are like
just don't know how to let guys down?
Just don't know how to take no for an answer. So it's like kind of a threat to say, not really. I don't know if threat is the right word, but it's essentially like, oh, if you don't leave me alone, like you're gonna get clowned.
I see it as like, I think women just trying to protect other women. That's how I see that. Is like if like there's a dude that's like kind of creepy. Yeah. It's like, hey, like this dude sent me this DM. Like, hope girls watch out. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
like I don't think the intention is malicious, but because of just the situation of like, because there are other dudes that don't respect boundaries, right? When like. Because like we're of the same in group per se, and you're trying to like rizz her up per se. Like you're kind of challenging that dynamic of trying not to be creepy.
Oh, 100%.
You're trying to be flirtatious and like like expecting to take the reins at sometimes, right? But it's very hard because like there are other dudes that kind of fuck it up for you. So you're like, hey, I'm not a threat. Please don't see me as a threat. So I guess like it's a kind of a dynamic that's kind of hard to talk about. But yeah, I can imagine that group thing is just more of a protection thing for like other women.
It's a protection thing.
Yeah, and like I respect it, but at the same time, I was like, yo, I would not do online dating for that reason. Not because like I think I'm shady or anything. It's just that,
I'm creepy, but
it's just like, yo, like damn, like if I try to be, let's say, like romantic or try to put myself out of my comfort zone of like trying to be vulnerable per se, and I look stupid, I would rather just look stupid in front of one person than look stupid.
And then in front of like 8 people.
Yeah, and then they all like make fun of you because then I'm like, oh, now they think I'm a loser. Like, So that's kind of one of the
for sure. No. Okay, so yeah, I totally understand where both of you are coming from. It's tough out here. Like I've experienced like a lot of the experiences you guys are talking about. So I've tried like pretty much. There was a time where I'd say like probably 2 years ago. I think it was after like this one time where I tried to like meet someone naturally, and then it ended up not working out because I came on too strong. And I think you know who I'm talking about. Like 2 years ago. Like
Does her name sound like a type of cheese?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I know she is.
So after that happened, I kind of like
Okay, I'm good.
I changed for sure. I changed. And I don't know if it was for the good or the better. I do believe that one lesson that you can learn from dating apps is that like it builds character. I do think that like people who are a little bit more naive about dating, especially in our modern age, like dating apps are a huge wake up call.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a big you're either like you have to dive headfirst into it and really really commit to it, or you just like have to like really hope that the right person comes along as
You can't half-ass it, yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like you either have to be 100% in either lane, right?
Yeah, there's no in between.
Yeah,
There's
you can't
no
be on
in
the dotted
between.
line, you know?
Because like if you are on that dotted line, you're going to like more often than not you're gonna come off as a creep. And to be honest, like there's been a lot of times where me like I've rubbed like a couple people the wrong way because I was so, I guess you could say, like almost desperate for like a relationship. And that's like one of the biggest problems that like I kind of encountered in the first couple years.
Yeah.
So I tried Hinge, I tried Bumble, and I tried Tinder. And to be honest, Hinge is like the best experience I've had personally online dating. So for my guys out there, if you guys are trying to go 100% in dating apps, try to stay like on one for the most part, because it becomes easier to manage. And like, to be honest, like in terms of like online status, like if a girl sees you on Tinder, they just know that like you're not really looking for anything serious, right? So if you're just on Hinge, then they get the perception like, oh, like he's a little bit more along.
It's like the unspoken rule, because like I know Tinder, like technically speaking, in theory, it is an app to meet people per se.
Yeah.
But like again, like one of my coworkers was there just for booty calls, like
just for booty calls.
There's an unspoken rule about that, and I think a lot of people don't really talk about it. But it's like, like I think if I were to use dating apps, I wouldn't use Tinder. Like
it's the online dating meta.
Like Tinder. No, like you have to choose like your champs and your loadout. Probably.
Oh my god!
Stuff like
right it back to video games like a fucking nerd.
But yeah, Tinder's, to be honest, in my opinion, is a lot more for hookups, especially here in this Calgary dating scene. It's just like it's all just hookups. Like you aren't. I will say that people have found like life partners. I knew one person who has found their life partner off Tinder, but they're the exception, not the rule. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, that's my coworker. She's exception, not the rule.
Exception, not the rule. Because like, to be honest, like when I was on Tinder, like I was just like, swiping because I was just like, oh, this girl's hot. Like, no, not this girl. This girl's hot. Like, and you go with the intention of like, actually genuinely like just trying to hook up. Bumble is, to be honest, is in my opinion is the worst out of the three.
Oh, really?
Because you get people who are serious, you get people who are trying to hook up, but girls just have no riz. Like, it's tough, dude. Like,
damn, hear from first, the dating guru, bro.
Like,
don't get clipped.
Like, okay. Let me preface this. Like,
chill.
Like, girls do have riz, but when it comes to like online dating and like trying to think up of an opening line and stuff like that, it's boring, dude. Like especially on Bumble, because Bumble, the girl has to match with you and she has to message you first.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's a good idea in theory, right? Because it's like, like you said, like the girl is coming to you in that sense, right? And I've had a couple matches on there that have ended pretty favorably. It just didn't work out. Like, and it was pretty good conversations, but like I'd say like 90% of them were just really boring or like died out because just like the people on there, on that app specifically, just can't hold a conversation. Whereas like on Hinge, it's a lot more useful because you have like what you're interested in, what you do, like what you do for a living if you choose to put it on there, and like all this other stuff, right? So it's like the profile is a lot more detailed, and you have I would hate to say this, conversation starters, or like even like a game plan like to talk about, right? So like if say like you really like this girl and the conversation kind of trails off, right, but you can still kind of sense interest, like you can just start it off with like a new topic, you know what I mean? And you have all of the resources in front of you because she put it all on her profile, right?
Yeah.
And if she's capping, then like
you gotta take that out.
Easy,
all right, then like you can suss it out.
It's easy to suss it out, yeah. So I would say personally, my most favorable, like in terms of like trying to get into a long-term relationship, was Hinge. But sorry, ladies, I'm off all dating apps. Like I to be honest, I swore them off because it's a funny story actually.
Oh, here we go.
I was on Hinge. I would say in like I probably uninstalled it in like November.
Your new me kind of shit.
Yeah. So it's been like 3 months. It's been 3 months, and honestly, it's worked out for me, like pretty well, I would say. But like, I remember there was this 1 week where like it is really bad to say, but I was like seeing 3 girls at a time. You know, like everyone in this dating age says keep your options open, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna just listen to everyone. And so I was kind of seeing 3 girls at the time, and I think Vince knows about this story. One of them dropped me after the second date, which is like, I was like, cool, whatever. She let me down pretty easy. She was like, hey, like I'm just really not really romantically interested in you. I was like, cool, dope.
You got more eggs.
It kind of hurt, but I was just like, I got more eggs. And then there's a second girl that just kind of like we just didn't click. We didn't match. Like it just like she was just expecting a lot more from me than I was expecting from her, and like our just values didn't match. So I was just like, hey, like it was me this time. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, like I'm just not really like I don't really see this going anywhere. You know what I mean? Thank God I didn't ghost her, but you know, like I just told her. And then the third one, like just straight up was just like, yeah, I'm just too busy for you. Like I just can't. And then and this all happened in the span of a week. So I went 0 for 3 in 1 week. And it just all deteriorated, and I'm like, man, this shit sucks. So like literally, like after I had that conversation with that girl, I just uninstalled everything. I was just like, fuck this. Like I'm gonna just go work out, be cool, and you know, and just focus on myself, right? As everyone should when they go through that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, dude, if you're going 0 for 3, 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in 1 week or in 1 month, like, dude, break, like, man. Hey, man, like, let's take a break. Obviously, there's something wrong with you. Like, I'm gonna be 100% candid with it. It might be the girls, but like, yo, 70% of it is probably your.
You're a common denominator, so I think you need.
So you gotta take a break. You know what I mean? Like, switch things up. So yeah, I would say like definitely like Hinge is the best for you, but I would say in terms of health. And in terms of like having a healthy dating life, and in terms of having a healthy mental, take breaks. Take breaks. Like you can't, like if you just are constantly on that app. I remember the whole summer I was on that app, and I was just going through it. And to be honest, like it sucks because you think you have something like there, and you think that it might turn into something long term, and it really doesn't, because you know. You're trying to find a kind of like a long-term thing within, say, like the average first date is probably 2-3 hours. Like, and that's tough. That's tough for anyone, to be honest. And in terms of like online dating, like Vince said, it's very much shopping. It gets addicting because you're like, man, like you look, it's like, oh, she's cute, she's attractive, we have a lot of the same hobbies and stuff, and it's like it's a little demoralizing to constantly go through this. I've actually talked about this with a couple of like women friends of mine. It's different for girls, like especially on those dating apps, because I think that they have a lot more options and choices, especially, whereas like dudes, it's like we're the options, right? And you don't really get a lot of like matches back, you know what I mean? You don't really get a lot of options, so it's a little tough. Like I remember, like this is like pre-beard kuya, I would say. This is like fatter, not as attractive, a little bit more childish, unbearded kuya. I was maybe getting like a match like every, say, like week. And to be honest, like I don't know if anyone else kind of goes through this, but that was pretty shitty for me. Like it was very demoralizing. Like I was like I thought I was gonna get on these apps and be like, yo, I can dance, I'm gonna be popular, I'm gonna be popping, and then all of a sudden just nothing, right? And then I would say once I got, you know, a little bit more conventionally attractive, started to like work out and started to, you know, like be a little bit more smarter about how I present myself. Like, yes, I got a lot more options, but like it becomes draining because it's like, I don't know. It's dating. Like you like people see you as a commodity, and it's just
Yeah.
not a great feeling. You know what I mean?
No,
It's just tough.
Definitely talk about the whole commodity thing, because like, I mean, how do you find value in a person, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, and like this kind of diving into like conversations amongst women, where like, for example, the music videos, like let's say in a hip hop music video, you definitely see a lot of women kind of just like dance around, and like they're not really accentuated by their personality, but by their like, you know, their tits and ass per se,
their appearance essentially.
Yeah, and like, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but sometimes like I find it very similar amongst like just people in general and dating apps, like men, women, whatever. Like when you're on that app, you are now a commodity. You are now a product, and so now you have to visually present yourself as a product. And I can imagine that's very exhausting, because then like, especially for someone who like struggles from maybe like body dysmorphia, or like maybe you just don't like the way your face looks, or you know, you just fucking like hate how you look physically, like what it, you know, I don't know, whatever it is. Like when you're on these dating apps, like this is probably like the moment where it can highlight your insecurity the most.
Because then it exemplifies it.
Yeah, and like another thing to commentate was like about like the culture shock of like having multiple eggs in your basket, which like I usually think about that when it comes to like money. Yeah, because right? To me, money is very materialism, right? But I've never like, and I don't know, it was me like kind of grew up in a very like conservative family and like very like religious and everything, and me kind of like transitioning out of that. But I still have some values like hey, like I would like to meet someone, focus on that one at a time. Yeah, of course. If it doesn't work out, whatever. And like not to say like one way is right or not, because again, I don't really believe
right or wrong.
Objective morality, whatever. But like, kind of like seeing like again my coworker, like friends, and even like some of my girlfriend's friends, right? They would I just wasn't interested, and they just stopped. Like I find that a lot of times with people on dating apps, they lose interest very quick. Yes. And I think one of the aspects of that is because of the whole like viewing people as commodities. Like I see a lot of like love gurus on my feed of like,
on TikTok.
What makes a high value woman? And like I just like I laugh hard, and I'm like, dude, like again, like this is one of those things like, well, not everyone values the same thing. You have to remember that. Like not viewing women as a monolith, not viewing men as a monolith or whatever. As a monolith, like people are not monoliths, right? Like everyone has their own beliefs, values, and whatever. Yeah. And so like like I kind of just see some of these girls like just like they're like, I just didn't want to talk to them, I just lost interest. Yeah. And the same thing I see with
dudes too. Yeah.
Like, she just wasn't it. And like
she's just not bad enough. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Like that's how the most common thing.
Yeah, and it's rough. And again, like I'm obviously talking about like straight couples and everything, and that probably applies to the queer couples as well. Yeah. But again, like we can't really speak on that because we're
cis white dudes. Yeah. we're not sorry, not cis white dudes. We're cis POC men.
Yeah, we gotta be politically correct. Yeah, per se, right? So like obviously like our experience is only with like straight relationships and stuff. Yeah. I love that. But yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like, yo, man, like I can't imagine like you probably feeling insecure by yourself, and by you I mean like everyone who's kind of listening, feeling insecure by yourself, and then putting yourself into something where you're just now those insecurities are now highlighted to the max.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and like it's tough.
Yeah, and like I'm just like, again, like to each their own. Dating apps is just a revenue to or a place to meet someone.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It's a tool. Yeah, I that's the way I kind of look at it. But holy fuck, like it is so difficult to.
It's so rough.
Yeah, like it's so rough, and I'm like, nah. Like if it means me being single for like let's say me and Karen broke up like tomorrow. Yeah. If it means I have to be single for like another 3 years, whatever, like I would rather take that than put myself through that. Like
for real,
because like I physically can't imagine myself like trying to view myself as a product, because I just like I just don't give a fuck. Yeah, and especially because like my personality is very much like disagreeable, where I'm like I don't really care what you think, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you think, right? It's probably not gonna help a lot to meet people, but when I meet someone naturally and we kind of become friends, then like we're able to like like handle disagreements, we're able to get to know each other a lot better. Like I say it naturally, but I guess organically, like when you meet someone like unconventionally or like not through
a dating app.
Yeah, not through a dating app per se. I feel like it's a lot easier to meet someone. Yeah, like I don't know. Or like get to know someone. Yeah.
Before we move on to the next question, I just wanted to touch on this one point that you were making. Like putting all your eggs in like different baskets. I will say for a disclaimer, to the as a disclaimer, I don't do that anymore. Yeah. Personally, I just feel like it devalues the people that you're seeing. To be honest, in my opinion, like it it really crutches you from really getting to know them more
Mhm.
because you know that you have the other option waiting in the wing. You know what I mean? And I never really realized that now until I got off of it, and like I met like-minded people who wanted to only put their eggs in really just one basket.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, it's a good feeling to it's a good feeling to know that you're the only person that they're really seeing.
It is. It is.
And when
Yeah.
you're transparent about that, it's a great feeling because you're not really like obviously obviously when you're single, you're always gonna think about other people, right?
Yeah, 'cause-
But at least a lot of their focus is focused on you, which
Yeah.
is a really great feeling. And putting all your eggs in one basket, I do think comes from just like people getting burned so many times because they
trust
put
issues,
their
yeah.
but they put their eggs all in one basket and they got burned every single time. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. The reason why I did that is because I got burned so many times.
Yeah.
I would always invest into this one person, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is it. And Vince knows every single story. To be honest, Jason does too. Like I would tell them all the time, like, yo, like this girl's fire. Like, like I think I think I can see it going somewhere.
Yeah.
And then like the week after she ghosts me, and then I'm just like, fuck,
Yeah.
like, where did I go wrong? You know what I mean? And then I'm a mess for like a week. So I think it was just a defense mechanism for me to just
Yeah.
be like, yo, like, you know, I gotta keep my options open. You know what I mean? And people around me like were telling me like, yo, keep your options open, bro. Like you can't put all your eggs in one basket because you know, like they're gonna be doing that same thing to you. So why do you have to do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's like fighting fire with fire to create a bigger fire. You know, it's some ass.
I think is that part of, I guess my point can kind of segue into the next question, but is that just part of dating culture nowadays? Because I
It
know
is,
like
it
I
is,
know
it
you
is.
told me about one of the people you were talking to, and you said you told that girl that I'm talking to multiple people, and she was okay with it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
if you kind of told me, like, if I had never known about dating apps before, and a girl told me like, oh, I'm like seeing other guys, I would be kind of hurt. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
like
You kind of see it as a red flag, right?
So you gotta like define what we're doing here because I don't want to waste my time.
So
there.
you don't
But-
want to be a situational ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then only when like you get past a certain point, and I've known a couple of friends who've been through this, is like only when you get past a certain point is when they start uninstalling. So it's like you gotta prove yourself to a potential partner.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
Bro, like fucking biology mate guarding and shit. Like,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a weird behavior. Kind of see it because like with the whole like the egg in the basket thing, like for like another analogy, it's like if you have one diamond in like a bowl, like it's very valuable. But the more diamonds you put in, that single
It
diamond
becomes less
loses
valuable,
value. That's inflation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Inflation.
so like that's why like I talk about commodities and shit because like I think to echo what Vince was saying, like when I was kind of like thinking with Karen, like we were the only two people who kind of see each other.
Yeah.
Like I'm also not gonna tell her like be too explicit with her side of the story, but she did have like I guess someone per se, but like the moment like I kind of and I didn't know, I just kind of like stepped in. The moment like I kind of stepped in the picture and like we kind of realized that there was some kind of romance.
Yeah.
The other guy got dropped, and I was like, oh fuck, did I just ruin something that could have been?
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like obviously, I'll let her tell the story if she ever decides to.
Do I remember this guy?
I think you know him. I'm pretty sure you know who he is. But
okay.
when she told me that, I was like, damn. Like, I mean, and that's the thing is that like, because I see it as a green flag as someone who like, even though we're not official, if you can display that you don't have commitment issues, then I see it as a green flag, right? And like, I'm not saying that every person that does the whole like multiple eggs in the basket has commitment issues, but I find that like a lot of times when I am seeing someone and they have multiple, because there was a few of my exes that kind of did this, where like, you know, it felt like if I wasn't pulling my weight, like for example, if I just was put in a realm of depression where I couldn't really commit to a relationship as much as I wanted to, then like, oh, there's always someone that I could be replaceable. And I was like, yo, like, I mean, I don't think I would do that. Like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, because I do value monogamy and having like a committed relationship to one person. That's just like who I am. So if I see someone that is not doing that, I'm like, okay, we just got different values then.
Yeah. 100%.
And I'm just like, yo, like to each their own. Like, if you want to like kind of just like have multiple like dudes as an option, because like you want to, just keep your option open. Like, I think that's fair to you, but understand that like I don't like being a second choice.
Yeah.
And I put that boundary very clear. And so a lot of times when like, and it sucks because like every time when I say like, hey, I don't want to do this, it's almost like they start chasing harder, which is like kind of stupid. I'm like, yo, like I shouldn't have to say, hey, I don't want you anymore for you to try.
For you to try harder.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I like,
Yep.
and like, I don't know. So like when it came to Karen, I didn't really have to like, oh, like I don't, I'm not interested anymore. Cause she wasn't really thinking with other dudes. I wasn't thinking with any other girls. We're kind of just like, you know, kind of get to know each other.
Yep.
And then I was able to like work out into a relationship. And so like, that was to me, that was what normal looked like. And now the new normal of like this idea of like, you know, having multiple options just in case to protect yourself per se.
Yep.
It's almost like trying to find like a mate so you can pass your genes to the next offspring. Like it sounds like biology. Like that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And like it kind of ruins the essence of like what love is, right?
Well,
Kinda,
romance is, yeah.
Yeah, romance is. So when I'm seeing this kind of new, very like just, I don't know what to call it. Like, yeah, like a commodity.
It's
transactional.
It's transactional. Yes.
Transactional
very
love.
Transactional.
I get so thrown off. 'Cause I'm like, damn, like I like what is love? Like, is
Yeah.
love simply just like meeting someone, having a dopamine rush, and just like, you know, and then just feeling someone, or is it like is it more than that, right? And that's a very like philosophical question.
Yeah.
But like, yo, seeing these new couples like, or the new like people in this new dating age, I'm like, holy fuck, like your generation is fucked. Like
It's tough out here. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough.
The only thing I would say, if you are following that multiple eggs in multiple baskets type ideology, is you just got to be transparent with people.
Just be transparent.
Know what you want.
Transparent. Like,
Yes. Be very transparent.
if you're talking to other dudes or other girls, let them know, because the worst thing is for that person to believe that you're giving them your full attention, and then the next day they're just ghosted without explanation, right?
yeah.
Because it's like transparency is like a very, very like to be honest, like it's so shit for me to say this, but transparency is like a luxury that you have now in this dating age. Because like a lot of people just, they're like, oh, I don't need to tell him because he isn't worth it, right?
Yeah.
Or like,
Or they should know.
or like I don't need to tell her because she's not worth it. You know what I mean? And that's so fucked up to like say. I do agree with a lot of you guys. Like today's dating age is very transactional, and I do think that it's a lot harder now than it was, to be honest, when we like even like 10 years ago when like dating apps were very like in their first like very beginnings and stuff like that. I do think that like it's a lot harder now to find someone that you like genuinely connect with. Because like say that
This fucking guy.
say that person is like just, you know, like she's let's take she, because you know we're cis men.
Fuck you.
Like she's going through all the same things that I'm going through, so she's obviously consuming the same type of media I am.
Yeah.
So like she's obviously going to think the same things, like, oh, don't put all your eggs in one basket, you know, do all this and that, right? Because it's a way of guarding your heart. It's a way of like being more analytical, like an analytical approach to romance, which is insane.
The opposite, because
insane,
love is not an analytical, rational thing.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very much like emotional driven. Like
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you have a spreadsheet with like the names.
Yeah, with like the names and like what their likes and
You like give them a
dislikes
score
are.
based on like looks and personality.
Yeah.
It's like a complicated formula.
yeah,
Your
like
score is 81.
Yeah, yeah, and it
nice cock.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
it's so fucked up, bro. Like it's crazy. I will say that like being in this kind of like dating meta,
The meta.
it's so tough.
It's tough.
Like to find someone genuine and to find someone that's genuinely interested in you that isn't playing games and all this other stuff is hard. Like I will say, it's a lot easier once you get off those dating apps and try to find people a little bit more organically, as we said, like through similar interests, through just living your life, through like friends of friends or whatever, right? And like I think it just goes back to like us being a little bit more traditional, but like again, it's like if it isn't broken, then why fix it? You know what I mean? Like it's just it's hard. It's definitely hard. Like the amount of like coffee dates I've gone on and the amount of like just the amount of like talking stages I've gone through is immense.
Immaculate.
Immense, because it like you, especially when you first start like on dating apps and like go into dating, you try everything because you want to see what's out there, and obviously what you've been doing isn't working, right? Because if it was working, you'd already be in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So that's I think that's why 2 years ago I was so hurt, because I was like, fuck, I think I tried everything, bro. Like I need to switch it up, right? And to be honest, the problem wasn't with like the approach I was taking. To be honest, the problem was with me. Like I personally was not feeling good about myself. I personally wasn't making myself quote unquote presentable, right? So I think that's why, like, again, like I said this earlier in the podcast, like dating apps do give you character, because your flaws are amplified, which is shitty, especially when you're an insecure person.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
But when you have a little bit of a different mindset, you go about like improving yourself, because you're like, fuck, this one girl didn't like me because X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
And if you take it a little bit more constructively, you can be like, okay, like she didn't like me because X, Y, and Z. Let's see the things that I do want to keep true to myself, and let's see the things that I can improve on. Right?
Yeah, because you also don't want to lose yourself. Because I guess we talk about like sim culture, where there's dudes that kind of give up their identity to appease women, right?
Yeah.
And I can pretty sure there's like, you know, what's the word?
Pick me girl.
Pick me girls. Yeah. Like, and like I see those words synonymous, like with men and women, where they comes like the idea of giving up yourself just to appease someone else. Like that's essentially what it is, right? And so like when like you are like, I guess, insecure and you're looking for something, like it's very easy to just not really solidify who you are as a person, and not to see yourself as like what you like and what you don't like. You kind of just appease someone else. Yeah. Another thing you kind of point out was with the whole like how the normalize of like having multiple people in like, and transparency is a luxury, right?
Yeah.
I find out like there's some behavior I kind of notice where like if they won't mention they have a lot of partners or a lot of people that they're interested in, but when you find out, they're like, oh, you're being immature about it.
Yeah. Wow, like you're obviously doing the same thing.
And
you know
like,
what I mean?
Or like oh, you're insecure. Like, you know, you can't you got to be more competitive.
Yeah, just be better. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because
it
happened to one of my coworkers recently, where like he was dating a girl, and like, you know, she was like kind of yelling at him, saying like, oh, like, yeah, I just have multiple dudes. Like, what's the big deal? You're being very immature about it, because they expect maturity for them to accept it. It's like, no, like I don't think it's a maturity issue. It's just difference in values. Like he wants something like committal. Like it's not that he's trying to like control your every behavior. It's just like he's like, hey, like I just don't like the idea of, you know, having multiple people in this dynamic. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Because it's so normal to have multiple people, to meet someone who's just like, yeah, one at a time is like a very rare thing, I find. At least in my experience, I don't really see like a lot of people who are now in dating age or in dating stage to be like, yeah, I'm gonna focus on one person at a time.
Yeah, 1% at a time.
It's very much like everything, and like it's something.
Yeah, it's something. I definitely do think that, like, I would say in my experience, like trying to focus on one person is a lot more easier. Because
it's easier.
You get hurt all in one. You fall in love in all in one motion, and you get hurt all in one motion, where you don't have to deal with multiple heartbreaks and like highs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, it's great. Like, I will say, like, it's a great like validation to like have like 3 girls like you at once, and you're like, man, like I feel like crazy. But then you go 0 for 3, and you're like, you have to hold that L 3 times. Right?
You gotta cope with it. I think it also doesn't allow someone to actually process what happened. It's like it makes people grow numb to that shit, and so it's like, damn, bro, like, or like hurt people, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I will say, like, I was fucking, like, I will say that like, for a while, I was fucking, but I will say that I was very emotionally unavailable once I got out of those, like, especially like when I was putting multiple eggs in multiple baskets. Every time I got dropped by all of them, I became very emotionally unavailable, like, because I didn't want to get hurt again. You know what I mean? So I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to just do this routine, you know, and keep presenting myself in this specific way. Like, I remember like one time I was like, yeah, like my hobbies are golfing, fucking rock climbing, and fucking swimming. And if you know me, that's nothing. That is not me at all.
Your name was like Ronald Smith.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and it's all in the name of just being presentable to these people, because you're a commodity, right? And you just, you know, like, If you're just trying to get some pussy, yeah, sure, it's great. But if you're trying to build a long-term relationship, like that doesn't make sense, because it's like, yo, like you're gonna go on these rock climbing dates, and then you're just gonna realize like you're not really into rock climbing, or you're not really into golf, you know.
Or you're not really into that person.
yeah, you're not really into that person in general, you know. Yeah. So I just think that like, I think it kind of leads into the second part of the question. Like, do you think it's harder in your 20s, like to date compared before?
That I have here, I think, to comment on what you guys have said before about like being a commodity, I agree, it's super damaging to your self-confidence.
Yes.
Because if before, because how I went into dating apps is like you, Ron, like, oh, like, yeah, I'll get a lot of matches, right? Because I know the type of person I am. I know the qualities that I have, and like we're not like bad looking dudes, right?
No,
so,
because
I know someone will find me.
I'd fuck you, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like
Yeah,
like to just interject really quick. You go into it thinking that you're the best, like you like
Yeah.
because you look at your best qualities and you know that they're presentable, and you know that like it's worked in the past for you, like to find I hate to say this, but like to find a life partner, right?
Yeah.
Like dancing, like, oh my god, like I can find a girl, like a life partner off dancing, right? or like, oh, like I'm a good looking dude, like I know that like someone will find me attractive enough, right? But like, yeah, again, like with dating apps, it's like, bro, like it's tough.
So, yeah, it's like you go into it, you pick your best pictures and stuff.
Oof.
and then what really like jumped out at me when I for example, showing your woman friends your profile. If you really want to succeed in online dating, you need to show your woman friends your dating profile.
You really need to,
because what looks good to you may not look good
might not
to
look
the
good
other,
to them, bro.
Because I know there's like conversation of like what men and women find attractive. Usually,
Yeah.
like, and again, people are not monolith, but tendency that women tend to find more character based,
Yeah.
where men are more like physical, right? And also another thing of like what is considered sexy, because like because one of the things where it's like, yeah, if you want to know what a woman likes, ask a woman.
Exactly.
You know? And like a lot of these dudes would go up to like, you know, again, like these whole fucking dating gurus, and like I was like, dude, like the reason why you're not getting any bitches per se is because you're asking the wrong people.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong people.
Like, get some friends that are girls and ask them.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with me? And like, and then just be like, hey, I need your honest opinion. Like,
They're gonna fucking roast you, bro.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this picture looks funny. Like, why did you answer that prompt like that? And
Yeah, exactly.
It happened to me, and I was like, oh shit, like, am I really that whatever, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing about these dating apps is like, what? One of the feedback they gave me, which was really funny as well, is like, you need to order your pictures like in the correct way. Like, what's your first picture?
What's
really
your first
important.
picture? Yeah.
And what does this picture say about you? Does it make you look snobby? Does it make you look? And I'm like, oh my gosh,
how do
it's
you
so
think of-
it's so analytical. Like, as you guys said, it's so analytical. It's just like, man, this is not easy. Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah, it's
hard,
like-
bro.
The other thing about dating culture that I find kind of disturbing nowadays is, and I've had this confirmed by a couple of friends who are in kind of like the online dating type culture, is that there's before you get to in like an actual real relationship, there's a wall. There's like there's a wall that you need to break, and that wall is sex.
No,
It's like-
it's an immense fucking wall.
It's like-
bro.
If that person doesn't find you like sexually attractive or incompatible, or there's some feature about you that they don't like, even though you're a good person overall, they're like, nah, this isn't it for me.
Yeah.
And you know, like a lot of, you can probably can confirm, Ron, is a lot of first second dates that are on these dating apps, they have to like end with sex. It's kind of like an unspoken is what someone has told me, and I'm like, that is, I don't know, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but to me that's kind of fucked up.
It's alarming. It's alarming for sure.
Because it's like, as I guess a quote unquote traditional man, it's like, you know, that comes a lot later down the line, right? You gotta get to know that person because
Yeah. Because
I'm not against like, premarital sex.
Forced monogamy. No, well, okay, like this is a comment to this. Yeah,
partaking
like,
in Satan's.
yeah, like because again, when you grow up in a strict religious household, like
yeah,
like-
that probably.
and then like
happens.
again when you transition out of that, you're like, yeah, like sex is not immoral. It's just a normal thing that people do.
it's a normal
Yeah.
thing.
But because you grew up in that environment,
Yeah.
people having sex on the fly is so
it's so weird.
taboo.
It's so weird to you. Yeah,
and like
exactly.
oh, fuck, I'm flipping. But yeah, because the comedy in that, it's like, yeah, because usually like if there was a time to have sex with someone, it would be like, I don't know, for me, I won't even give like a time frame. It just, you kind of just know.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
them, like for I guess the dating app is like second date, like I don't know this person.
Yeah, I don't know this person.
Yeah.
Like
And you're getting judged off of that. It's like a lot of pressure, right? When sex is supposed to be like no pressure, like relaxed. Both people are supposed to enjoy it, but then
you're not even enjoying it.
in the back of your head, you're thinking like,
I barely
oh,
know this person.
if I barely know this person, one. Number two, if I don't perform, quote unquote, I might get dropped.
I might get dropped.
ghosted.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Where's the clitoris? Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, I can confirm.
it's like a mating ritual.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so, like,
exactly.
I will say that like in modern dating, sex is such a big thing, and sex
Mhm.
appeal is a very, very big thing. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll comment it on my own experience. Like before, like you've got I've been like unbearded on this podcast before. Like if you guys go to the very first episode,
Manscaped.
Not sponsored.
like I went from the aesthetic of being like more cute Asian, like to more finding the more conventional standards of like handsomeness and fitting like that niche, right?
Being a man.
And to be honest, like I feel a lot more confident in myself. I really like the aesthetic that I go for now.
Mhm.
But honestly, it was a result of like dating. I will say, like the change that spurred it on was dating. So and to find myself more sexually appealing to women, you know what I mean? And like I will say that the first or second date, like there have been a lot of times where I go like into that first or second date being like, yeah, I'm gonna have to hit like like for her not to drop me, you know what I mean? Or like people just make their intentions very clear that you're going to sleep with them on the second date.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, like I have had those moments where I'm like, I barely fucking know you. I've been talking to you for a total of 48 hours.
48 hours.
We have gone on a date twice in the last 2 weeks, and now you want to smash. Like
Yeah.
not smash bros, smash. and
Your favorite game, huh?
and like
We're so fucking stupid.
and call me promiscuous all you want and like chastise me for premarital sex, but I do think that like especially in like this modern dating age is very important. I will say that like I am more comfortable with that person if we wait a little bit longer for sex,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like if I do it maybe after like 2 months of knowing them, or like maybe even a month minimum,
Some distance, yeah.
right? Like just some time spent together. You know what I mean? At least a
You gotta start
little
getting
bit of
to
a
know that
connection,
person before.
right? Because like again, I've like quote unquote I had this whole phase where all I did was go around and sleep with people, right? For the distinct purpose of just getting my dick wet, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you know it's great like physical validation. It's great like you know like it's great in the moment, but then you go home and you're like it's that drive. I actually talked about this with my boss one time.
Post no clarity.
It is.
Yeah.
I talked about this with my boss one time. I was like, it's that 12 a.m. drive home on Deerfoot. Like you're driving home because like you know you drove like half an hour to go get some pussy, and it's that drive home where you're like, fuck, I got work in like 6 hours.
I just wasted
Like,
gas.
I wasted gas. Like I had to take them out too, and it's like I'm probably never gonna see them again because the sex was bad, right?
Yeah.
Like in this situation, right? Like I'm not saying all the sex is bad. Like, I've had good experiences, but like it's just like you're driving home and you're like, fuck, I could have saved money by just ordering Don's, beating my meat, and going to sleep, and I would have had the same physical
experience,
validation.
yeah.
Same experience. Like and that's what's tough. Like that Like I was actually talking to this girl I was seeing, and she was like, yeah, like it's true. Like you feel so much more validation, like just like, you know, like staying home, beating your meat, and going to bed because you know you save money, you're physically satisfied, and you know you get to sleep early because you have to wake up early in the morning, right? So again, like this whole dating thing with like having sex and not really having any intimate force behind it, and not really having any loving or romantic force behind it is very damaging, I think, especially like for people who aren't really like who have the intention of eventually finding a life partner, because sex becomes more of a commodity rather than something that is more special.
Yeah.
And
the intimacy is not there. Like the sexual feeling is there, but not the intimacy.
yeah.
It's just like dick and vagina.
Mhm.
It's a action.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not a ritual.
Yeah, it's not a ritual, or like there's no driving force behind it, because like again, like this might be a little like TMI for like our younger viewers, but when you have sex, you'll say things and you'll feel things
Yeah.
that like, to be honest, like you should really only say when like you're with like
you're committed
like
to
a more connected, committed person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, like there's a girl said I love you like during sex, and I like just met her, and I was like,
Damn.
what the fuck?
God,
I was like, yo.
Okay.
I was like, God
It's a
damn.
red
And
flag
to be
right
honest,
there.
like that oh yes, one, it was a red flag, but two, like
Yeah.
it made me rethink like sex in general. Like it's just like, oh, like I'm just going through it. I'm going through the motions, and I'm making it more of an action rather than something like that's actually like worth of substance, right?
Yeah.
And so now, like, call me celibate, but I just want like sex to be more of an intimate thing for me personally.
Yeah.
And like I used to think that, and then I went through my whole phase, and now I think that again because I was just right in the first place, you know. But
you have to find out.
You have to go through it.
The more you
find out, right?
Yeah,
more
you fuck around, you find
Yeah, the more you fuck around, like legitimately, the more you find out.
The thing is, because like, I think that's why like I'm not usually against the hoe phase, because like I know like again I guess for women it's a lot like harder because there's a lot more shame culture.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it's like, you know, like sometimes you gotta explore, and like, you know, especially when you hit a certain age, your like testosterone, your sex drive is hard. It's like and like that's I think it's true for everyone really, but like of course like there's, you know, we do have higher levels.
Different libidos.
Yeah, different
like
libidos.
that.
We do like in average, yes, we do have higher libidos per se, but everyone has the capacity to have a sex drive.
Yeah.
So like when they are like, you know, in that phase, like sometimes they kind of act on based on the drive per se.
Yeah.
But then after, like once you don't have that drive anymore, then what's next?
Like, what are you left with?
Yeah, what are you left with? You, like, and I don't know, like, and I know there's been like commentation on like, you know, like dudes don't know what a clitoris or whatever, like they don't know what it is, they don't know how to satisfy the girl. Like sometimes they have to fake come, like, you know, when they're sleeping with a dude, and like
fake nut.
Yeah, they had a fake nut. Like that sucks. Like, you know,
that's shitty.
and like, you know, wouldn't you rather like, you know, have one person be like, hey, this is where it is. This is how I like it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're
one person who knows how to touch all your buttons, you know?
Yeah.
One person that knows the matchup.
Yeah. The little button with the hoodie, you know?
Yeah. With the hoodie?
Yeah. You know, Evil Kermit?
You gotta touch his nose. You gotta touch his
Yeah,
nose.
like, yeah. It's like a DJ turntable. I'm playing. But yeah, like, I was like, yo, I think you're right, because a lot of dudes don't know the female,
they don't know the female anatomy.
Yeah, I was like, yo, like you're not wrong with that. Like,
Yeah.
like you're actually speaking factually.
Yeah, I will say that like going through a whole phase does teach you more about female anatomy for sure. Like you see a lot of types of vaginas. I'm not gonna lie. Like you see a lot, and it's just like it gets you familiarized with like people got different vaginas, and like I won't say like penises because like
you haven't tried.
I just don't really see.
We should do a sword fight right now.
Yeah. But like for women to go through that whole phase, obviously they're like slut shamed or whatever. But like for them, like they get to see different types of like penises, right?
Yeah, I imagine it's probably the same for like for straight women, right?
Women, right?
Where they like they see like a cock and like oh, that doesn't look like that one has a hood. Like
that one looks like a worm, not a mushroom.
Yeah, like would you love me if I was a worm? But like like I think a lot of times when when you're kind of going through, let's say, body parts per se, the bodies of the bodies, like it does lose its meaning, right? And again, like maybe that came from us coming from a religious family. It was like, yeah, I kind of like taking time and, you know, being very selective with, you know, who I'm decided to sleep with. Again, if you decide to have a whole phase, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, to each their own, right? But just keep.
I encourage it.
Go live your
Yeah,
life.
exactly. No, I even encourage it. If you need it, yo, you need it. But like, understand, like, yo, like, ask yourself, what are you looking for? And I think
That's the most important.
yeah, that's like the biggest question. Because yeah, like
transparency.
Yeah, if you're trying to fuck, you're trying to fuck. If you're not trying to fuck, then what is it you're trying to look for? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I find out a lot of people on these dating apps don't. There's a lot of people who don't know what they want, going with other people who don't know what they want, and then
it just becomes messy.
And it just becomes a big mess, right?
It becomes
So like,
a big mess.
I generally think taking time to reflect and be like, hey, like this is what I actually want, and this is what I'm being told that I want, and I kind of just, you know, assume that this is what I want, but actually what I don't want, right?
Yeah.
So really just trying to be transparent, like, hey, like I want something more than just like, you know, PP and Vagine, you know, Bobs and Vagine. Yeah,
Bobs
you
and
know what I mean?
Vagine.
'Cause, yeah, and like us, like I know we are talking about, man, this applies to everyone really, like, you know.
Are you an ass man or a boob?
Yeah.
That's another podcast episode.
Yeah, and just ask the booze, just totally just objectifying women. I love that. But yeah, like I think just asking yourself, like, what do you want, you know, as a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you guys touched on it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we touched on the other questions already pretty much. Like, let's move on to like the last two questions, I think. So I want to ask you guys, what's your biggest piece of advice for people our age struggling with relationships or romance? And like it's cool to kind of hear from you both because you guys are both in like long-term relationships and you guys have grown with your partner, and it's a little bit different for me because like I can tell them like all the advice they want, but like you guys already secured the bag, so like how do I secure the bag? You know what I mean?
Secure the bag. Okay, I'm not gonna say.
Get the bag and come in, or get the bag and fuck it. What's
I'm gonna
fumble it.
Fumble it. Yeah.
Or like, I get the you get the bag and fumble it. I get the bag and fuck it and come in.
I mean,
I
it's
think-
true.
I think for dating in general, I want to echo what Jason just said about knowing what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Because if you go into these dating apps like me, just because everyone's doing it, it's the new way to meet
It's the
people.
trend.
The
It's the
only way
wave.
to meet people.
Yeah.
You're gonna get so confused. You're gonna get so discouraged. You're gonna get hurt. So just know what you want. Like have a talk with yourself and just be like, okay, do I just want to fuck around? Which is okay. Then that's what you want, right? Obviously, like use protection and don't be an asshole to people.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Be transparent.
Yeah.
But if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. If you want a long-term relationship, okay, what do I need to do to be successful in a long-term relationship? And it's not just about finding someone. It's about what do I need to work on myself.
Yeah. Looking within yourself.
Looking within yourself too. Like what would I want in a partner, and do I have those things myself?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because like you might find out that I don't have like maybe I don't have a sustainable career, or I'm not really healthy financially or physically.
Yeah.
I'm not as good looking, or I'm not as confident in my appearance or body as I am, right? So those are things you need to work on before you need to go into a relationship, because yes, love can sometimes be enough, but you also need to bring something to the table,
Yeah.
right? And what do I have here? Yeah, so that's, I think that my second point is the focus on yourself. And then I think no rush as well.
There is
no rush because especially in your 20s, like your 20s are meant to be, and I think we talked about this in the 20s episode, but your 20s are meant to be a time of experimenting and finding
exploration
phase, and nothing is off limits. Well,
except for murder, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you can go as wild as you want, as long as you're being responsible and you have like a support system and all that good stuff.
Yes.
There's really no rush to like find a life partner. Like, that's such a big pressure to put on yourself, because like
Especially in your 20s.
if you say, okay, by the end of this year I'm gonna have a long-term relationship. Like you can't really.
That's not up to you to
It's
decide.
not up to you.
It's not up to
fam.
you. It's a because a relationship is like a two-way thing, right?
Takes two to
Yeah.
tango.
You need someone to like you, and you need to.
Yeah, you can't even have a dialogue with this motherfucker yelling at his computer screen.
Sorry, guys. My brother's playing League in his room and it's being very disruptive.
That's why he's fucking single. Because all he does is play video games in his bedroom all day.
Chill.
No job looking at
Yes.
us.
wow. He has good qualities, guys.
Yeah,
Ladies,
yeah,
my brother is very
yes,
single.
W Riz, bro.
W Riz.
Yeah, my brother's very single. he's on the market. If you guys need like me to gas him up and show off my brother, I will.
Just put a photo of him.
Yeah,
He takes some horrible
Yeah,
photos.
yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. Let me flash 1, 2, 3. You know.
Yeah. And anyways, I forgot what I was talking about, but like, yeah. Okay, last point. Life is not just about romance. You don't have to tie your value to someone liking you or someone
yeah.
thinking that you're the you mean the world to them. Like if you get ghosted, if you get rejected, you just gotta take the L and not say like, oh, I'm a horrible person. Like if she doesn't like me, it's the end of the world. I see no value in myself. No, it's like 1 out of how many people are like 8 fucking billion people in the world don't like you. Whoa, what a big deal,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not that
8
big of a
billion
deal,
people
honestly.
more.
Like you just gotta take the L and move on, honestly. So yeah, I think that would be it. Like just focus on yourself and that's it for me.
yeah. Oh, damn. I feel like I have a lot to say. I want to keep it short because I talk too much. But I think I said this in the past when it comes to relationship where like I think in my opinion that a healthy relationship is better than a long-term relationship.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah,
a
100%.
long-term complements a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
So like I've had so many conversations about like having a relationship that's like older than 5 years, right? And also like learning vicariously through like your relationship and like all the other friends that have like long-term relationships as well. A lot of people kind of like again that end goal of having something long-term, right? Where like they're so focused on just keeping things together that they don't really know how to problem solve.
Mhm.
Learning how to find common ground with someone who's different than you is very, very difficult. Like understand that like again like people have different experiences, and so like when you are in a relationship, you will meet a disagreement about what is important in life.
Oh,
Like I know
100%.
one of our friends kind of talked about like, not to mention, I don't want to really mention his name, but kind of talked about disagreement he had with his girl where, like his girl kind of believed that she should be the priority in his life, and then he kind of says like, no, I think you should be independent and follow your own thing, and then you just have your partner like there, right?
Yep.
So and that's one of the hardest things to kind of like, I think a lot of couples kind of go through that of like independence versus collectivism.
Yep.
Per se of like, because to me I hate being tied to the hip with someone.
Yeah.
I don't like being told what to do. Like I definitely like the idea of like, hey, like if it doesn't make sense, like why are you telling me how to behave, right? Like and the thing is like I think one thing I really appreciate is that Karen was a lot more accepting of who I was. Like of course she did have her boundaries, and I think that's what I appreciate. Like I cuss a lot, like I swear a lot, right? And in her household she never swore, right? So
Yeah.
to her that was a very culture shock. She didn't like swearing per se, right? And so like how do we meet common ground in there, right? So obviously her coming from like, a religious background, like don't say the Lord's name in vain, right? And I was like, Jesus Christ, why?
Jesus Christ, fuck, what the
Yeah,
hell?
what the fuck, right? So like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, don't swear in front of her parents or like, people who are important to her, right? Because she does have a religious family. I was like, okay, yeah, I won't say the Lord's name in vain, like common ground, right? And like, but at the same time, like, I don't appreciate being told how to act because, like, not to say like, I'm gonna go up to a little child and say fuck, I'm not gonna do that, right?
Fuck.
But I usually hate people who are grammar Nazis and then very much who are like, oh, this is the right way of speaking. Like I don't like that. I think it's very like controlling and like, kind of manipulative a little bit, and like, to like again, like if we didn't speak the English language, like, how do you like would you care? Like I can cuss you in Spanish, like would you care if I, it's just like yeah, and anyway, so that's just another conversation. But like knowing how to find common ground with your partner is probably the hardest. It's one of the hardest things, and I think you need to. One of my biggest advice is kind of just like being adept to be an active listener to your partner before saying like, "Hey, I'm right, you're wrong." Because I find a lot of times with people, they kind of grew up in depending on what culture they got and grew up in or kind of environment. They're like, "Oh, this is the way I do it. I'm right, you're wrong," And a lot of times, like, you're not able to actually learn from your partner. You're not able to build an intimate relationship with them. But a lot of times, like, putting yourself in someone else's shoes to really, like, get to know your partner is, like, what really, I think, helps couples kind of understand each other, where you actually handle disagreement as not, like, just, like, an attack on each other, but just, like, hey, like, we have different views on the world. Like, how do we find, like, a consensus, and how do we mediate that? Because I find that, like, when you've been single for so long, a lot of times it's very easy to fall in this trap of, like, don't tell me what to do. But when you find someone that it's really important to you, like, I think you're willing to make sacrifices in order to make them happy. Because, like, it's not always about being right. Sometimes it's about, like, trying to build a relationship, like an interpersonal connection with someone, right? So I guess, yeah, it's my biggest advice. Like, learn to find common ground, and secondly, like, focusing on the healthiness of the relationship as opposed to just keeping it long term. I find out a lot of people kind of just focus on long term, and they kind of lose the value of, like, what it means to be in a relationship.
But the real value that comes from having a long-term relationship is getting to know that person on a really deep level, and what is a healthy relationship? It's a healthy relationship is one where you guys trust each other, you're honest, and all that good stuff. And with these dating on dating apps, it's really, you're trying to condense a long-term relationship into, like,
An app.
weeks,
Weeks. Yep.
days even, right? And
Hours.
yeah. And there's, I think we've touched on it in previous episodes, there's only so much you can learn about a person in a few days or a week.
You can't. Yeah.
You can't judge a person based on, like, that amount of time. Like, you can't say, I think the last thing I was saying was, you can't say that this person is my life partner.
Yeah.
But I only met them like a week ago.
Mhm.
But they're really great. Because you haven't seen them go through the depths of hell. You haven't seen
The
them
deepest, darkest.
and how they
stuff.
deal with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to see that before you can call them your quote unquote life
Partner.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, like, a long-term relationship is not, like, the most important quality of, like, a healthy relationship, but it does complement it really
Yeah.
well.
Really well.
And I think, this obsession, and I think maybe it's just the idea of love that's being sold to us of, like, and they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that's, I think, in media, it's very much like a trope of, like, longevity, right? That no one really sees. Like, they see like a timeline of, like, oh, like, this to 10 years, whatever, but they don't see what's happening in those 10
What
years.
happened in those?
And, like, the beauty of that relationship is what happens within every single moment in that 10 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, being a single man, you guys I would say the biggest piece of advice I can give, just kind of struggling with a relationship, is, like, be realistic with yourself. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think the hardest thing that I had to kind of learn, like, kind of going through this in the last, like, I'd say 3-4 years of dating, and 2-3 years of being single, is, like, I had to be realistic with myself, like, and be a little bit more constructive of yourself. Like, again, like what Vincent said, like, if you don't have a good body image of yourself, if you aren't, like, there financially, if you don't have a sustainable career, like, if you aren't passionate about anything, then, like, you kind of need to find those things before, you get into that relationship, because more often than not, once you get those things in order, you're going to find someone naturally. I think that, like, yes, dating app is definitely a tool, but it does restrict you, because it might push you into the dating scene a little too early when you're not ready for it. So I just think that be realistic with yourself, and be a genuine person, because I think that the biggest problem with dating apps nowadays is that, like, everyone puts on a front. And I actually, like, found myself doing this a lot, is, like, on the first date, like, I'd be like I try to act all cool, and like to be honest, if you guys know me personally, I'm, like, weird, goofy. Like, that's how I would describe myself. Like, I'm a goofy, like, ass dude. Like, I will for like I will dance in front of you for no reason at all, and there won't be any music playing. Like I'll just like or I'll like I'll stay like stupid stuff. Like I'll be like like I don't know, like you guys could say something and I'll just be like, oh yeah, like I'll put my ship in your dock or some shit like that. Like I'll just say like some dumb stuff and like trying to and the more that like I tried to be more genuine to myself, the more I found like these dates were going a lot better because these like I would say these prospective partners were seeing me for more me, right? And I wasn't coming out of it feeling so hurt because you know they just didn't like me for me, and that's fine. And I was able to kind of be realistic and realize that, right? So I do think that the biggest piece of advice, if you are struggling with relationships and romance, is just be a little bit more genuine with yourself. Because if they don't if they don't like you for you, then there's no point in pursuing a long-term relationship with them, right? Like, and it ties back into like Vincent's and Jason's point, where it's like you have to see someone go through the depths of hell, right? And it's like if you constantly put up that front, like you're never gonna see them go through any of that stuff. I remember I was seeing this TikTok where it was like a lot of people don't show their true selves in a relationship until a year in, and I'm like, that's fucked up. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you just show your true self right off rip? You know what I mean? Like, why would you wait a year? Like, that's just fucked up. So like honestly, like just be realistic and just be genuine, because I think you'll attract a lot more people that'll last longer. Like whether it is platonic or romantic, especially romantic, if you are just genuine to yourself and you're true to yourself, you'll just attract like people who have the same interests and same values. And I found like, again, like based on personal experience, I've been finding people like as like who share the same values as I do and who like actually want to genuinely like me for me because I'm more genuine with myself and I'm not like trying to be cool, you know. Like, hey, what's up, girl?
Authenticity.
Authenticity
is very hard to replicate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I think a lot of times when you're seeing this, especially as men, you know, seeing this ideal image of men, of what we should behave, you know, and I think maybe that's one of the predecessors of like actually starting this podcast in the first place. Like you either see like these alpha male podcasts, or you see like, you know, maybe like a podcast of women just shitting on men per se. It's a very polarizing belief systems, and so a lot of times you kind of question like, who am I as a person? You kind of just don't really know that, right? And so to like actually be authentic with yourself is probably one of the hardest things to kind of like learn. Like what you like, what you don't like, what you believe in, and like, you know, a lot of times people put a front just to attract something that maybe is not meant for them. But like when you're actually like true to yourself, like you will attract someone who is, you know, would like that. Will actually like that. Yeah. I think a lot of people are kind of scared because maybe they fear rejection, that they won't show their true self after a year because like there's that fear of rejection. It's like, yo, like rejection is part of life, and that's something that like, you know, I think a lot of people have to experience. So when you are trying to figure out yourself, like understand that like you will get rejected for showing your true self, but there will always be people that will value you for you. Like it doesn't have to be just like, because again, everyone has different tastes, you know? Yeah. So let us know what you guys' thoughts are on romance. Hopefully you guys have a great Valentine's Day, and you guys are spending it with the people that you love. Like me and Lawrence, like we're probably gonna go to D-Spot on Valentine's Day.
I might even go by myself.
What a loser.
Why would you go by yourself? How come you don't want to go with me?
No, because you might be occupied that day, you know.
You can see a bunch of couples and you can be there alone.
Brother. Yeah. Oh, brother. Yeah.
I like to eat there. Not as like a big boss, but I personally like their food, so I actually like to go there on the
Okay. Anyways, hopefully you guys are having a great weekend, and hopefully you guys have those tough conversations with your significant others, and let us know how dating has been in your guys' life, and if you guys ever had a good or bad experiences on dating apps. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right.
We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys next time. Use protection.
Bye.